Deputy Clare Daly.
I'm sorry I didn't go before him now, but that's obviously a hard act to follow. But I think that very important issues were raised there, because when we're talking about spent convictions, we do have to look at the starting point of when people get their conviction in the first place and how they end up before the law. And it is absolutely correct to say that there is a culture in this state that if you are a connected person, a person of influence, that you can be somehow outside the law and get privileges and exemptions that aren't afforded to other people who are maybe born on the other side of the tracks. I think there is other evidence of people where people collide with members of the Gardaí and had that position abused, that they can end up with convictions as well. But just in terms of the bill itself, I do think it's an important piece of legislation in terms that it's a start, but it certainly does not go anywhere far enough in terms of dealing with this issue. And I think it really gets to the heart of what type of society that we want to live in and what is the basis of our criminal justice system. And as other deputies have said, particularly in this era of austerity, when there's so much emphasis on cutbacks and attacks on public expenditure, the idea that incarceration and custodial sentences is a way forward to transform society is just absolutely ludicrous. It doesn't stack up on any ground, and I'm actually surprised, given the cost of it, that substantial savings could be made by taking people out of the prison net and focusing much more on rehabilitation stands everybody in time. And I do think we need to look at the system from the very beginning, from when a person is apprehended, from the conduct of their trial, to having consistent sentencing policy, to what goes on in the prisons, and of course when their time is done and their sentence served, they have to have the right to move on. And we do need to have consistency, transparency and proportionality in the system. So I do think the principle is a good one, but it doesn't nearly go far enough, because if you don't address this issue, in actual fact what you're saying is that somebody who was sentenced for a relatively minor matter or something that happened a long time ago and certainly doesn't define their contribution could end up in effect serving a life sentence, because they've had to carry that conviction with them to all prospective employers and so on. It sort of increases the likelihood of them having to be a career criminal because they can't get employment, because this record follows them around and taints them in that regard. And I think that costs society